Hey guys, we are here with the Hollywood Life podcast, and I have so many questions because we have a very, very special guest here today, and you all are going to know her. We are here with Rachel Lindsay, former Bachelorette, and still engaged after the Bachelorette, and we have so much to talk about. And we're also here with Ali Stagnita, our on-air anchor and entertainment writer, and she's just jam-packed with questions.
I'm so excited. I love Rachel. Rachel and I are already like best friends.
No, you guys have pumped me up. I'm like ready to go. We had such good conversation before.
Yes. I can't wait. Yes, we do, because we have questions. And of course, it was just, in recent days that we had the Bachelor final. So we're like right in Bachelor Nation timing. And we have here in our studio, Nick, the silent producer. Hi, Nick.
Hey, Nick.
So Rachel, welcome to Hollywood Life.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me, you guys.
So happy to have you. We've been fans since day one.
Yeah, I thought that you were a fabulous Bachelorette, and I'll for many reasons. But one of my key reasons was, and you can answer questions about this too, is that you really asked questions about your suitors and had serious conversations about life goals and what were their views on important things about, like, if you're getting married, do you want to have children, and where do you want to live, and how do you feel about me working, and what about your career, and would you move? And I don't think I saw one of those conversations with Colton this season, but that is more typical on the show, that you don't see those kind of conversations that are normal if you're thinking about getting married to somebody. So do they happen, or was this like you wanted to make sure?
Yeah, for me, I was more focused on the relationships that were in front of me rather than that I was putting on a show. And I'm not saying that someone else was doing that, but I think it's hard to separate the fact that you're trying to establish these relationships, but you're also filming a TV show. And for me, I was very much so 31, turned 32 while filming the show. Taking a break from law, I wasn't going to waste my time doing it. I thought, okay, I'm here to see if I can find someone to spend the rest of my life with. So there's certain questions that just have to be asked.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
Like, yes, the drama in the house, you talk about that, but it's like, okay, life outside of that, I need to see if we can work in real life. So I have questions I need to ask.
But you were also a Bachelor contestant, like a Bachelorette for, was it Chris Soules? Was he your Bachelor?
Nick
Nick
Vile.
Vile.
Oh, for Nick. Oh, that's right. The infamous Nick. And so when you were being the contestant, did Nick ask those questions to you, or did you bring them up? I think you brought them up in conversations with him.
Yeah, Nick really didn't.
There is no way Nick did.
He talked about, and it's funny, I remember I took Nick to church, okay? And
Yes.
I was like, on a Sunday, this is typically what goes down for me. And so I wanted it to be as real as possible. And I remember we were talking about religion. And he was kind of like, let's talk about something else. And I'm like, but that's kind of real life. That was like one of the realest conversations we had in front of the camera. And I just think sometimes people don't think it's interesting enough, it's entertaining enough. I mean, I tried, but Nick was more about talking about what was in front of us, like the date we just went on. And yeah.
But then how do you choose a life mate? Because a lot of people do on the show. They end up engaged, and a number of them have gotten married.
Well, like, I think the percentage is low for the ones that have actually worked, and that's because I think people don't separate Bachelor world from real life. Like, there are a number of people on my season that in that world, we would have worked perfectly. But there was only one person who I felt I would work with outside of it and in real life. And you can't know that unless you ask real life questions.
That's why I feel like Bachelor in Paradise actually has a better success rate, because the dynamics are so different and the downtime with each other is so different that you're able to actually kind of have those discussions without
The cameras.
all the chaos.
Yeah. I have two good friends, Raven and Astrid, who have had very successful relationships from Bachelor in Paradise. And that's what I think
Are they
is
still
interesting.
together?
They're still together.
Who are each of them with? Remind us.
Astrid is with Kevin. He was from Canada.
And he's
and
so
she
cute.
yes.
Yeah.
so great together. And she moved to Canada for
Wow.
him. And then Raven is with Adam, who was on my season.
Yes, I remember Adam.
And she moved to Dallas for him.
Yeah.
And so it really does work, which I think is funny about Colton's season, because the way he kind of broke the mold. He created a Bachelor in Paradise situation. He
Right.
got to date her for a week with all the other girls gone and just kind of have the pressure away from like the ring. Like they still had the virginity pressure, but they have like the ring thing was gone. That's Bachelor in Paradise.
Right. Exactly.
Well, and listen, it seems to have worked. They look like they were thrilled last night. I mean, they truly look like they're in love now. So,
What do you think?
she's skeptical.
Oh my
Lindsay
gosh, I
is
can't-
skeptical.
I'm so bad at controlling my facial expressions. If we weren't in person, you would have never known that. I think that it is easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of things right now. When you're in hiding, you are protected. And people can speculate that you're together. They can kind of have their opinions based on watching the show, but you are hidden, get to see each other privately from everybody else. And it is a lovely time. Then you put your relationship on display for everyone to pick apart and critique. This is when it gets hard now. And so I just feel like they're young and they're
very young.
into each other. And I think their feelings aren't on the same page. And I just think they're
Still?
just like, I really do think so.
You still think he's more in love with her than she is?
100%. I think she's caught up in everything, and we'll see what happens when I am rooting for them. I just want to
Yes.
say that. I always root for people in love. I just think that we'll see what happens when the cameras go away and
Well,
now
the other-
real life hits.
Right. And the other thing is, though, she is very young. I mean, he's only just like 27, but she's only 23, which is very young to be making life decisions or even getting engaged decisions.
I agree.
Well, and I feel like she is very caught up in the whole thing, like you said. And I also think that we briefly spoke about this to each other. Just her family was so involved. And so it's just going to be interesting to see how it plays out and how it plays out in the next few weeks once the cameras go away. And you had mentioned, Rachel, your experience after the final rose. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, let's just remind our
yes,
listeners
yes.
that Rachel got engaged to Bryan. Oh, I'm going to mispronounce his last name.
Abasolo.
Abasolo. Bryan Abasolo. And he is based in Miami. You were based in Houston.
Dallas.
Dallas. So I knew it was one of those Texas cities. Okay. You were based in Dallas. Well, that's good, though, because you didn't get the hurricane. And so it wasn't like it was going to be easy for you because you were going to have to deal with long distance. Now, is he still a trainer? I remember he was a trainer.
So he's actually moved into that. So
Yeah.
he did move to Dallas for me, which is
Okay.
great.
Okay, so
And-
that's something everybody doesn't know.
No, and he got his license. He's a chiropractor by trade, so he got his license to practice in Texas, but he's really trying to grow the fitness, personal training, nutrition side of things, and he's built his own lifestyle and wellness brand. And so that's what he's focusing a lot on now too.
But you have some news because he moved for you because you were still practicing law at your law firm, and you have just left the law firm a little over a couple of months ago, and you were practicing civil defense litigation.
Yes.
And
So fun.
very, very different from being the Bachelorette. So you were practicing law and he moved for you, but you just want to break the news to our audience that about where you are going now,
Yes, I am returning the favor. I am moving to Miami.
which is where Bryan's from.
Which is where Bryan's from, yes. And it just makes more sense. You know, sometimes you have to make those sacrifices for the relationship. I'm traveling all the time anyway, and he supported me. Now it's my turn to do the same for him.
But why move back? Like he already set up a practice in Dallas.
Well, he hadn't actually. He hadn't set it up there. And so to answer your question, it is better for him to do that in Miami, just with his connections.
Definitely.
And like who he knows, and his team is there. So like I want to go back and do that with him.
And Miami's such a fit town too, so it's such a great place to do it. And also, I mean, I know you're like a Texas girl, but I feel like you're gonna be a good East Coaster.
Do you think
Yeah,
so?
I do.
Thank you for that
I
compliment.
do. From a Jersey girl, I think you're gonna be good.
I'm embracing it now. Like people are like, "Wow, you're moving to Miami," and I said, "Listen, I'm gonna be honest. It took me a while to get here. I like change, but I'm kind of like Texas is great for all these reasons. But
And also your family was there.
my family's there, and his family's all in Miami. But it just took some time for me to get there. I don't want to make it seem like I was just so on board.
Right. Well, because you're a strong woman, and that's something that Bonnie, I remember when we watched your season, would just say after every episode, she would come in the next day and be like, Rachel is just so strong in her convictions and what she wants, and she knows what she wants. I really do recall you saying that. And it was so nice to see a woman up there who just knew what she wanted. And even on Nick's season.
And also was very career focused.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the bachelorettes and the contestants, they don't talk about their careers as if they're super important.
Yeah.
And in fact, a lot of the contestants on Bachelor will say, well, I just want to be a wife and mom. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I mean, most women work today, so it's not that representative.
I was going to say, no shade, but it's the truth. Most of them don't have careers. You know, they come in maybe using it as a springboard for something else. Maybe they're still in a place where they're trying to find themselves, because a lot of them are younger. You know, I was still in school at 23, whatever Cassie is. So I was still, so she's a student. I was a student too at that age. So I get it. It's like, it's a little different.
Well, speaking of that, so since you are unusual from the typical profile, why did you decide to be a Bachelor contestant in Nick Viall's season?
It's insane, because I didn't even watch the show like that before, but I had 2 coworkers who I am thankful for to this day, who came into my office and said, hey, they're having tryouts 2 weeks from now down the street. You should go try out for The Bachelor. And I remember laughing, and I was like, you guys, why would I do that? And I don't watch the show, but I know that like the person of color, like the black person, never goes far. I know that's a running joke.
Well, you were the first woman of color who was the Bachelorette.
Yeah. And so for me, it's kind of like the odds are against me. But then I thought, well, why not? I kind of was at a place in my life where I was like, I was complacent. I had done everything I said I was going to do professionally, but something was still missing. I didn't feel complete. I didn't feel happy. I wanted more, and I wanted, to be honest, a bit of an escape. So I thought, why not? Let's just see what happens. I'm open to it.
Right. Take 2 months off of work.
That helped. My job was insanely supportive, and I am
Why were
grateful.
they so supportive? They just thought it was great publicity?
That, I'm happy that my boss was progressive enough to think of it that way, but he's also a super fan of the show.
Oh, funny.
And
that is so
I
funny.
didn't know that. And he had just become a fan of the show that
That's so
summer
funny.
during his vacation. His daughters were watching Bachelor in Paradise. And he was like, what is this thing? Got so sucked in, went back and started watching other seasons.
Oh
so
my
then here I
gosh.
come in August. He just got back from vacation. And I'm like, well, I've been approached to do The Bachelorette. He throws his hands up in the air and he's like, yes, you go find love.
That's so fantastic.
Like the stars aligned for me.
It really did. Now you are now moving to Miami very shortly, and we hear that you're wedding dress shopping or
Yes.
wedding gown shopping. So I assume that there is a wedding date, or at least close to that.
Yes, we have said August 2019. My wedding planner has been very strict about me saying, not giving the exact date or location, but it will be in the Caribbean. So it's going to be hot, August in the Caribbean. It may come as shock to people to hear me say I'm getting a wedding gown, because I was very emphatic about wanting a wedding suit.
Yes.
That's all I wanted to wear was a pantsuit. And then I'm working with Randy Rom, who designed my dresses, most of them on the show, actually. So it was like I met Bryan in a Randy Rom. He proposed to me in a Randy Rom. It just makes perfect sense. I have a great relationship with her.
How did you hook up with Randy Rom?
So she was doing the dresses on the show.
Oh, she was
I
actually
see.
like,
No, she wasn't there.
Got it.
But I so connected to her dresses. I know that sounds weird, but I did on the show.
Well, you looked beautiful in them.
Thank you. And they just had so much personality. And I reached out to her, and we've had a relationship ever since the show. I mean, I had dinner with her last night.
Oh.
And so she's doing my dress, and I just feel like she gets me. And so that's very exciting. And she was the one who said to me, you want to wear something that you can't emulate on a red carpet. You want it to be for you. You want it to be to speak to Bryan. And I thought, that's why you're a wedding dress designer, because you just got my mind right. Now I want to wear a dress.
Right.
And so August 2019, that's this August, in the Caribbean. And Bryan, now what made him, well, first of all, what made him out of the blue decide to be a contestant? And then what makes it work with the two of you so well?
I think, okay, so to answer your first question, he went on the show because he was older too. I was 31, turned 32 on the show. He was 37. His best friend called him. He didn't pick up the phone. He was at work. she called him again. She's like, you want to pick up this phone call? I have a friend who's looking for contestants. I think Rachel's who's going to be the Bachelorette. I think y'all would be great together. And she said, I think
so crazy.
So he didn't have to go to like an actual tryout. He just, because his friend knew this producer, he just went to a private one. They were like, you'd be great. And then they just kind of sent him on. And it's perfect how it worked out.
And was he looking for love in particular?
Yeah, for him, he was in a place where that's what he wanted. He had come out of a relationship. He had a 4-year relationship, then was dating, and he was trying everything, then had a serious relationship, and then it came out on the show. She didn't get along with his mom, and it just didn't work out.
Right.
So he was ready. He was in a place where he was ready for something serious. And I think that, to answer your second question, is why things worked for us so well. We were both in a place where we were ready to find one another. So like he always says timing is everything. And after going through this whole process, I totally get it. Plus we both had careers. We both had kind of gone through the whole thing of our 20s. We were just in that place in our lives. And plus we just like vibed really well. We connected from the beginning. I gave him my first rose. It's insane to me how well we connected. Even our families get along so well. Like when I come next week to go wedding dress shopping, his mom will be here, my mom will be here. They talk all the time. Yeah, it fits so great.
I feel like, and I had actually said this when I had watched this season with Colton and Cassie, that I felt like when they were on camera together, and maybe it was the producers, but they just seemed smitten with each other.
Yeah.
And it was the same with you and Bryan, that like I almost feel as though if the show didn't happen and you guys met, you know, at a bar like everyone else, that you guys would still be together.
I think
you know
so
what I
too.
mean? I really do.
I think so too. And like I think it's obvious because I gave him my first rose, which means we had that connection, that physical attraction. You don't really know the person that well at that point, but there's something
it's that first
sparks
cocktail
your
party.
interest. Yeah. And you're trying to like, I couldn't even remember Bryan's name. I was just like, who's that guy who spoke Spanish to me? Like, where is he? I want to talk to him again. So yeah, definitely that would be the case. And I agree with you with Cassie and Colton.
Yeah.
So he obviously made a good first impression on you. How quickly did things develop after that?
For me, my top two were my top two pretty much. No, not pretty much. They were the entire time. So I knew I had a connection with Bryan. I was hesitant with him because he was just like, we fit together so well that I was like, no, there has to be something that's wrong. So then after our first date, I thought, no, he's really who he says he is. And then our second date, I thought, okay, this has sealed the deal for me. And then after meeting his family, I remember I had whispered to a producer, I was like, it's Bryan, you know, but you
have to still keep
you
going.
have to play the game and go through, which we saw that happen differently this season with Colton, which is interesting. I don't know what they're going to do moving forward because now he has set a tone and now other people are going to say, hey, I want to do what Colton did. Because if I had come after Colton and I had seen what he did, I would have said, well, I'm leaving too. I know who I want. I don't want to continue with everyone else. I don't want to do this.
Right.
That makes sense what you do in real life.
And so you felt like you were doing a show and you felt that responsibility.
Sure.
So you had to keep leading on basically 2 other guys.
Yeah. And it's not that I didn't care for them. Like, and that's when people are like, oh, you cry so hard. It's like, ask any lead who's in that position. Colton boo-hooed over Hannah G sending her home.
Yeah.
When you have to break someone's heart who you've been spending all this time with, who you've made a connection with, there's a reason they made it this far. It hurts to let them, they think they're going to spend the rest of your life with you in some capacity, whether they propose or not. And here you are breaking their heart. That is tough when you care about somebody. And that's something that every lead, including myself, underestimates.
Yeah. Well, it's like JP and Ashley. I remember they have come on our podcast before, and Ashley was like, oh, I knew from day 2 that it was JP, but they had to go along with the whole thing and they would sneak out of their hotel rooms and like see each other and stuff. But
Did they really?
Yes. Oh yeah. They would sneak out and see each other. They would go past producers. JP would like sneak into her hotel room. He'd like scale the hotel walls.
Oh my God.
And they would like sneak it through. And then she would be like, I'm telling you, I'm choosing you. But then the next day she'd bring someone else on a date. And they were like,
I think Catherine and Sean did some of that too. Because we've
Caitlin.
interviewed Caitlin.
And Sean Booth?
Caitlin definitely did.
Oh,
Yeah.
Caitlin did with probably a few people.
No, not Caitlin and Sean Booth. It was
JoJo and Jordan?
No, it was the guy who was the born again virgin.
Oh,
with
Sean and Catherine.
Yeah, Sean and Catherine. Oh, yes,
right.
yes.
Sean and Catherine, because we've had them on the podcast a couple of times, and I think that they knew pretty much right away too. So they were kind of secretly seeing.
They would
each other.
secretly see
I'm
each other. You
such a
should talk to them
They
beforehand.
knew.
I'm such a rule breaker, and I didn't do that. I would give out my hotel room number. Like, I'd put my hand down, and I'd be like, 5, 2, 3. And they were like, we saw you do that. But I never snuck. I think I was just too scared to do that kind of thing. I didn't want to mess up a season, and I had heard like Caitlin and other people had done that. And so I was like, no, I don't want to do that.
So the time that you got to spend with Bryan was like literally in front of the camera. You didn't get any other alone time, and you still had to know?
Until the fantasy suite. That's when you get alone time. And that's when I've said this before. That's at the end. You don't have any time. None. Like, we didn't sneak off. I don't know. I think being a lawyer, being 32, dating, I've been through this whole dating thing. I just knew what I was looking for, and I knew when I saw it, I would know it.
Yeah.
Well, at least you get the opportunity to kiss a lot
do.
because they want you to kiss. So you're like making out with all these guys. So I guess you could also at least be able to tell you've got some kind of physical connection because you're kissing them.
Oh yeah, Bryan was an amazing. People got on his kissing because it was in your face, but I guess I like that. I guess I like it. So
Yeah, he kissed you like the first night.
He did, and it was so good.
He was the first one.
He was.
Well, that's
I
how
remember
it
that.
goes usually. The first kiss, they usually win.
It was so good because I had some bad kissers. I'm not even gonna lie, but Bryan we were just like in sync,
And you had to
people
keep
hated
kissing
it.
them.
I loved it.
Like you had to keep kissing guys.
Dude,
you
no
didn't
one's a
wanna
worse
kiss.
kisser to watch than Ari. Ari is the most disgusting kisser to watch.
I know. I was thankful for him when he came after us. I was like, Bryan, he's got you beat.
Yeah. Yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So that's so interesting that you really had to make a decision about somebody based on the time. Now, when you were though at your dinners, because you have a couple of your alone dates, did you get more time than we saw on camera to actually be able to talk?
Yes, you definitely. Those dates are probably about an hour, maybe a little bit longer.
It's not even that long.
But you see 7 minutes at best of it. So we do get more time with each other. And then there are some moments where the camera's not on you and you might be standing there and you might talk to each other. Like, I remember Bryan and I were in the car one time together and it just wasn't filmed. Peter and I got to travel. We went on that glacier and we had to come back in a car, and we were together the whole time without a camera. So there was producers around, but we still had time off camera.
Right, so that you get to have longer conversations. Well, because there are contestants that are clearly there to become famous.
Sure.
And was that easy to tell?
For me, it was, and I don't always get things right, but I do feel like I can read people well, and it was a good skill to have, obviously, in this situation. And so there was one obvious. I had the Waboom guy. Do y'all remember?
Oh, yeah.
That was clear what he was there for. But you know what's crazy? We got along so well that y'all didn't see. Like, if he had put down the megaphone and the T-shirts, he probably would have stayed longer and not engaged in some of the drama in the house. He was older, and he went to Berkeley. And so we would have these really good conversations that people didn't get to see. But it was obvious he was there for fame.
So for the wedding, are you going to be having some of the other Bachelor and Bachelorettes? Is there going to be a heavy Bachelor contingent?
So I wouldn't say heavy. I told them originally none of them are coming. And that was just because
Corinne probably flipped out.
Corinne, it will be invited for sure.
Yeah.
But not all the girls will. And I do get along with all the girls that I was on next season with, so it's hard. But I really am kind of ruthless when it comes to this wedding. And I'm
What about Vanessa?
Vanessa won't come. And it's
Vanessa's
not.
Wait, she was not nice to you.
She wasn't, but we've since made up. Like, we both just had it was on both of us, and so we're cool with each other, but not cool enough to where I wouldn't be expected to be invited to her wedding and vice versa. Only people I talk to consistently.
Did you not get along because you seriously were both interested in Nick?
No, that's not why I didn't get along with her. I sat back and I observed certain things in the house that I wasn't comfortable with, and I'm like, I don't have to be close with everybody. That's not something I really want to be affiliated with. So I just stuck to my girls, and I had my core of friends. And it was fine when there were a lot of people in the house. But as the numbers got smaller, it was very obvious that I was avoiding her. And so I think that's when things came to a head, and things were misinterpreted as maybe I was ostracizing her, but I just was staying away from her. And that was my personal thing. And so we just didn't get along towards the end.
Yeah. Oil and what did Hannah and Caitlin say the other day? Oil and vinegar? Oil and water?
Yeah.
But oil and water. And some people are.
Yeah.
There's a lot of girls in that house.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because she also had forced Nick to have serious conversations.
Yeah, she did. And she was one of the older ones in the house. And I think for her, it was very serious. I mean, because like she said, my family, I'm very close with my family. You live here. I live in a different country.
Right,
and she was taking it seriously. And I respected that with her too. And I think that that's why maybe there was some contention at the end too, because it was very real for her. And I will always say that about her process. It was real for her. I never thought she was in it for anything other than for him.
Mm-hmm. So who else will be going to your wedding?
So I'm close with Astrid, Raven, Alexis, Whitney, Christina, Corinne. Those are for sure people. Because those are people that I talk to regularly.
Yeah, and you guys always go out together, like when you're all in LA. Because I know Corinne well, so I I love you guys all together. It's so fun.
I do. I am very fortunate with the group of girls that I was on Nick's season with. They're just a different breed. I watch girls on other seasons, and I'm like, I don't know if I would have fit in with that bunch. I had a great group of women.
You really did.
And what about some of the other male contestants? Did Bryan get close to any of them?
It's weird when you win, for lack of better words, you're kind of separated from the other men. The other men all have this group chat where they like talk bad about the lead. Even the women do it. The women do it too, you know? There's this group chat that they invite you in. Even the producers warn you about it. They're like, don't get in that group chat. I think Reality Steve is in that group chat, which is how he spoils things because I'm just...
Not a bad idea.
He knows everything and people talk about everything in these group chats. And so if you win, you're not in it, so you don't have that camaraderie that those guys have because they don't want you to hear them talking about whoever you chose.
Right.
And so he has
They're
some
just
that
jealous.
he's close to.
Definitely.
Definitely. There's some that he's close to, like Matt. On my season, you didn't see a lot of him, but he was one of the good ones.
Is Matt the Canadian?
No,
too? No.
Matt is from Connecticut.
Okay.
And a lot of people were like, he came in a penguin outfit. And they were like, how did he make it so far? And I'm like, he was such a good guy. I cried really, really hard when he left. Nobody talks about that, but I did. They showed it. But Adam will probably be there because of Raven. Kevin will probably be there with Astrid. And then Matt, Eric, that's who he's close to.
Amazing.
Well, I think that's a decent contingency. But Chris Harrison is not like he's not
officiating.
Not officiating.
No,
I was gonna say
he's
negotiate.
invited. I'm inviting
okay.
several people like
On
behind the
Alon.
scenes, and like that. I was close with like actually the lady who did my makeup on the show is going to do my makeup for the wedding. Carrie, the stylist, is going to come to my final fitting because I still talk to these people. I'm so close with them, and so they'll be at the wedding.
Well, it's how you found love.
Yeah.
I mean, and you do, you'll pay tribute to that. Now, I really want to talk about after the final rose and what you thought of last night's finale, but also how it compares to yours and the essay that you had written after Beccas season.
So you see, they've never done what they did with me again to any other contestant because it was so much. So normally what happens is, as the lead, you get every episode before, like 3 or 4 days before it airs, you get to see it. So it's nice because you can sit down with your significant other. You can kind of prepare them for, oh, sorry, I made out with this person or
Right,
whatever.
talk it out.
You have to have those tough conversations. It's very, very hard. So you have that. Well, for the finale, for me, for the first time, they did not let me watch it before. Normally, you get to watch it behind the scenes. They had me watch it on stage in front of a live audience and sit there for 3 hours.
That's
and
so
watch
hard.
It. Never happened before because they thought, oh, she can handle it. She can't control her facial expressions, so that'll be good TV, and we can get like natural reactions out of her.
Now, just remind us, in the fantasy suites, did you do more than one?
I had three fantasy suites.
Right.
Yeah.
But was it serious in more than one?
Maybe. They were all serious to me. I will say they were all serious to me. because I had a list of questions that I was asking the men, and that was very important for me. Like, yes, we were alone, but I need to ask you questions that I don't get to ask on camera. You know, like
so
politics.
smart,
That was like so big for me. Politically, I needed to know what you think. You know, religion, where do you stand? How do you want to raise kids? I had a long list of questions. I actually found my list the other day that I had.
Super important questions.
Yeah. And then I took questions that my family had from meeting the men. I took questions that his family had with me. I wrote them down. It was
brilliant,
very
Rachel.
serious for me. And then I'm like, we can have fun.
Right.
But like, let's get down to business first. So they were all serious in that regard. That's as far as I'll go with that. Let's just say I had a lot of fun.
And then the final episode, is just the two, right? Because that's the typical final episode, is just the two.
No, it's 3.
Well, now it's 3 starting with my season.
Right.
They changed it again. So they had me deal with Eric on stage for the first time. And I'm watching our breakup and watching how it's edited. And then they had me do the same thing with Peter, which I knew it was an emotional breakup. And I had already told Bryan about it. I was like, you're going to have a hard time watching it. It was very real, but I can always say that in the moment I gave it my all and I saw everything through. What they didn't show you is that I walked in going to send him home that night, but we had maybe a 5-hour breakup. I am not even exaggerating.
Wow. Why so long?
It was like he wanted to keep talking. He wanted me to stay the night. He wanted, it was hard for me to say goodbye too, you know?
Of course.
You wanted to see the whole thing through, like talk everything out, have that closure conversation, because for me, I knew it was gonna be it. So it's like, I wanted to talk it out. And then he was revealing new feelings to me in this conversation. I wasn't ready for that. I always have said he reminds me of the guys that I dated before. And just giving me just a little bit to stay along in the relationship. And so I was fighting that old me versus what I knew was right for me. And it was a tough breakup, and I've never denied it. Well, anyways, I have to watch all this on stage for the first time. Then he comes out, and Chris Harrison says to me things like, and he had this infamous line of saying, well, if you don't choose me, you're going to live a mediocre life. Right. Well, I forgot he said that. It was 3 months ago. So I'm watching it and I'm like boiling. I'm like, he did say that to me, like the audacity to say that.
Yeah.
So Chris Harrison says to me, you seem angry. Okay, I was mad about that because that's just, I hadn't raised my voice. I hadn't rolled my eyes. I hadn't done anything. And it's just like, you can't say that, honestly, to a Black woman, because then you're going to be labeled as the angry Black female.
Right.
Which I was after that. Everybody talked about how angry and bitter I was. Then Peter comes and says, then I say, well, you said I was living a mediocre life. I'm actually living my best life. And I kind of flip my hair and turn to the side. So when we come back from commercial, Peter goes, I feel like you attacked me. That's all I said. Social media ran with it. Articles. Rachel attacked him. Oh, she's still upset. She's still bitter. That's who she wanted. She only wanted a ring. That's why it was everything the way it was set up, the questions that I was asked. It was a nightmare when it should have been the happiest day of my life.
Right, I see.
And people were so fixated, and our breakup was longer than my proposal and engagement airtime with Bryan. So the whole thing, the whole drama was my breakup, and that's all they focused on. Fast forward to Beccas' season, who I was so happy for. I was on her season. I was rooting for her.
Yes.
I like Becca. I still do to this day. I just think she's just like a genuine, great person. Anyways, she had controversy surrounding her season with the guy she picked and him liking certain pictures. And there was this whole thing about it. They didn't even really focus on that. They asked him 2 questions and they moved on. You might not have agreed with her pick, but you saw the progression of her love story and you understood it. I didn't get that with Bryan. They focused more on my relationship with Peter, my number 2. I was upset about that. Becca also didn't sit on stage for 3 hours and get grilled and was put on display that entire time. She got to hide behind the back, which is what you see now, and only was brought out at certain moments. So I was very upset about that. So after watching Becca's season, it almost made me emotional. And I just put pen to the paper, and I was blogging for Us Weekly at the time, and I just wrote about the Bachelor franchise and do they care about you having a happy ending? For some people they do, for some they don't. And then I talked about all the feelings that I felt that day that I had never expressed before. One, because I was out of contract, and so now I can voice that opinion. And I talked about being labeled an angry Black female, being put on display for 3 hours. No one else had to do that. The jabs that were thrown at me, not because my dress looked a certain way, not because I wore my hair or my makeup, because of the color of my skin.
Yeah.
And I talked about that and how nobody has gone through that to this point. And I don't know if they ever will because they haven't had another lead of color, period. And so since then, I've just kind of taken a step back from the franchise. And I'm not anti it because I did find love and that is the goal. But I don't want to put myself in a position where I can be cut and pasted in a certain way for people
for television.
Yes.
For dramatic television.
Yeah.
Which is what they were doing.
Yeah. And I understand all of that, but to see it not happen with other people and the way that it happened with me was very, very upsetting. When, sad to say, you have to be sensitive about certain things because of the way people think and because this was an audience that had never seen a person of color in this role before. And they played into certain stereotypes that were really upsetting to me.
They could have been great and they blew it.
Yeah. To this day, people still question, even with what happened in Colton and Cassie's season, people are still tweeting at me and messaging me and saying, well, at least Colton followed his heart, unlike you followed a ring, because of how it was shown on the show.
I don't understand. Like, they thought you liked that ring better or something?
They thought all I wanted to do was be engaged, and that's how the show showed it.
But if you only wanted to be engaged, then you could have chosen Peter.
But Peter pulled a little
that's
Cassie.
Right. Oh, yeah.
He got a little
he
cold
wasn't
feet.
ready. He wasn't ready.
He wasn't
that's
ready.
right.
And so they're like, well, if that's who you,
then why
based
did he
on
take
your
so long
emotion,
to break up? Like, if he wasn't ready.
Well, he actually said, I'll propose to you if that's what you want.
Right.
But nobody heard that. And it was aired, and I still said no. One, because he wasn't what I wanted, and and even if he was, that wouldn't be the way that I wanted it. So it just was like, now I'm getting compared to like that season 2.
Right.
And it's like people won't let it go, and it's all because of how it was aired. When all I wanted to do was send him home because I didn't think it was right for him to be standing up there at the end when I knew what I was going to do.
And you knew from day one that it was Bryan, but the edit didn't show that. Like, and I even remember being like, who's Bryan? You know, you probably didn't even realize who Bryan was until you had 5 people left because they just didn't give him the airtime.
They didn't build it.
And Hannah G, I was pretty proud of her the other day because she was like, and now I've realized that my edit you guys don't really know who I am at all, because all they showed was her like half naked and kissing him the whole time. She came off like an airhead.
Right. And getting the southern etiquette.
Right. And that was it. Whereas, and she's mad. She's definitely mad too.
I really liked her and the way she handled herself in
Me
the
too.
finale.
I did too.
And I was like, wow, there was so much more to her that we just didn't get to
and
see.
I was that's how I felt too. I was shocked because I thought, wow, I'm really liking Hannah G, and I'd never really felt like she was a person before.
Right, because they didn't show us that, and they didn't show us your side of the relationship with Bryan, and they were focusing on, Peter with the like steamy hair and whatever. And that's why people were so confused.
And I understand it. That's what I have come out and said too. I get why people are confused. I get why people think that because that's what everyone was saying. Oh, she just wanted a ring, so she settled for what was a sure thing. I totally understand why someone would say that, because that is how it looks watching the show.
Well, I kept wondering why you kept Peter around, because he didn't seem to be ready yet. Like, just like how Colton wasn't ready, he wasn't ready. Or not Colton, Cassie.
For me, he was always the guy I liked second best. And so you do keep the people around. Like, there was a point where I was going to send him home when there were the top 3. But then I thought, well, Eric has already professed his love, and I would hate to make him think that it's even further down. At least Peter hasn't confessed feelings of love yet, so it'll be easier to send him home because he's not there yet.
Right.
And then we get to the breakup, and
So
he's
there's
like,
logic.
And he's like, there was logic until we get to the
has to be,
breakup.
right.
Logic.
Yeah. And when I was trying to break up with him, he was like, no, I'm in love with you. These feelings are new. So it's like, then he said that, and it was like, this was supposed to be an easy breakup. You don't even love me. So it's like, it's whatever.
Right.
And then they didn't show that.
No, they showed him saying,
Yeah.
I'm in love with you.
Right.
But
They showed him, but they didn't show her reaction.
Heard what they wanted to hear. They saw what they wanted to see. And Bryan looked like the charming, Rico Suave, Miami guy who was just like, they made him look slimy a little bit. I'm not even going to lie. They did.
And they kind of made his mom look crazy. Like, I remember his mom, like, they made his mom look like crazy because it was like the whole storyline with like his ex-girlfriend not getting along with her. okay, his mom, I would love her to be like, I want to be her friend. Like, she is epic.
She's so much fun.
She's so fun.
Yeah, I was I do agree that I didn't think they made Bryan look slimy, but I was worried about you with his mom, the way they portrayed her, because I thought, oh no, she's not going to be welcoming. She's going to be interfering in your life.
No, she's like, you love my son, I love you. And she actually said that. They just didn't air that part. And for Bryan, they played into every Latin stereotype possible. If you even go back and watch, when he comes into the room, they play Spanish music.
Like, why? I just don't get
And
it.
it's things you don't notice, but subconsciously, like that's you're
so
watching
funny.
that.
Right. And you're like, because he's Latino and very in touch with his Latino side.
Yeah. They played into every stereotype. And so they know their audience. They know what they're doing. There's a reason this show has been on for 17 years. And that's what I tell people. And sometimes people are critical of me because they're like, well, you talk about the way things were edited with you. How could you be so critical of Cassie and Colton? And I'm like, well, I'm not that critical. I'm actually rooting for them because I would want people to find it. But it's not critical when the girl ran away from you, when the girl is giving you every single reason to send her home. And she keeps telling you, I don't want to commit a relationship. I don't know. That's not edited.
I'm confused.
That's what she said.
She kept saying she was so confused and she didn't know if she could get there. Well, so I take it that you're not having your wedding filmed.
No, I am not.
For a special,
Not
TV
for
special.
television, at least,
Not
for memories.
for television. I will tell you, and I actually haven't said this before, but I'm going to do something with the show to show. I think they want to do something where it shows, you know, we do support their relationship and maybe we didn't show it in the best way. So there will be something. I'm not going to have a full out special or anything, but you will see something in the future of Bryan and I sitting down that will be in some type of Bachelor-related thing. But they will not be at our wedding.
Like a separate episode?
No, it'll be in conjunction with something else that they're doing, but they'll do something for us. So
Like a little clip at the end of Paradise or something like that.
Yeah,
a little
there'll be
homage.
something. I honestly don't know how it'll play out, but I know that they want to do something.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
stay
good.
tuned.
Okay, so we can look forward to a special. Will it be after the wedding or before the wedding?
Before the wedding.
Before the
Okay.
wedding. Okay. Now let's talk about Colton and Cassie.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Have you met them in person?
No, but here's a funny story. So I'm very close with the stylist, Carrie Fetman. And I was staying in his place. I usually do when I go to LA, and it's separated in 3 floors. So I'm downstairs in the room, in the bed, and I can hear someone in the room next to me, and it's like, you can tell they're moving around, going through boxes. And I'm like, what is that? And Carrie never comes downstairs. So I go, Carrie, is that you? And the voice goes, no, it's Colton. And I said, oh my God, like I'm in like sleep clothes, the door's closed. At the time I was wearing a wig. I was like, I don't even have my wig on. This is so embarrassing. I was like, this is embarrassing. And he goes, Rachel, is that you? And I go, oh God. I go, don't come in here. That's as close as I've gotten to Colton. And he was like, I'm just looking for something, and like ran out. So no, I haven't met him officially. I've met him through a door. And I've never met Cassie.
But you aren't. How do you feel about the future of their relationship?
So the one thing I do like hold back on is trying to predict how I think they're going to be, because there was just so much negativity around my own, and people still don't think Bryan and I are going to make it until we actually walk down the aisle. So who knows what can happen. However, I will say she is so impressionable and she is so easily influenced by her family. And they weren't at the finale. Note that. Mind you, they live in California, so it was nothing for them to be there. And you've seen in these past few seasons, families come.
I said that yesterday.
Why didn't they come?
I don't think they're on board with it. They're a very religious and traditional family, which I come from that as well. And it sounds like they are thinking about living together. That's probably against their
Colton
beliefs.
said he's moved to California to be near her.
Yeah, and that's against, and I mean, as a parent watching, they're seeing their daughter. I mean, her dad flew to Portugal to say, I know you're not ready. If you were, this is what you would have said. They know their child. And I think that Colton is chasing, very close to smothering her. And I think that the family sees it that way. I don't think they're 100% on board when it comes to that. But as far as their relationship goes, I think that the ball's in her court. She's running it. And as long as Colton is fine being in that position and letting her do things her way, the way she wants to, I think they'll be successful. My advice to them, though, is to stay out of the media and try to work on building the foundation of their relationship, because now it's when it started. Right. Not when you're in hiding for 3 months. This is it. Today, 5, 6 p.m. when they're done doing their media round and there are no more cameras in their face, that's going to be when it starts. So if you see them do another reality TV show or one of them does Dancing with the Stars, then I think their relationship is doomed. Like you enter another world where the cameras are all in your face and you're dancing 10 hours a day, and it's like you just got out of this TV world only to jump back in it. You're not nurturing the relationship that you have. For Bryan and I, we went back home to Dallas.
And did you deliberately not want to do Dancing with the Stars for that reason?
I came out and said, I just, it's not for me. I want to focus on our relationship. We need time away from the camera. We went to Dallas, then we went to Houston to see my extended family, then we went to Miami to see his. We surrounded ourselves with people that are the most influential in our life. And I think that really allowed us to be a strong force against all the negativity that we were facing from the media. And I would suggest Cassie and Colton do that. I don't think they will. I think that we will see them in front of cameras doing their own thing. And I think as long as they stay caught up in that whirlwind, they'll work as well. But they need to.
Because they feel like they have to.
Yeah. It's all very exciting. Can you imagine being 23 and this is your new life? Same thing I say with Hannah B as The Bachelorette. She's having the time of her life now.
Yeah. What's not to like?
Right. Yeah. But then what happens? I have a community question from one of our members, Vicky Captur. She asks, when was the last time you remember getting bullied and what did you do to combat it?
Ooh, great question. I'm bullied every day.
On social media?
Which I will say, it's Vicky, I'll say it is hard because I didn't come from this world, right? I think I had like 400 followers on Instagram. I didn't even have a Twitter account when I did all of this. So it's a whole new world, and it's hard. You know, people see me as confident and strong, but I definitely have my weak moments. So, I mean, I was literally just bullied the other day on Instagram because people are comparing, again, questioning my relationship and basically calling me Ring Lindsay. That's what they call me on Twitter.
That's awful.
And are saying that I followed a ring and I should have done what Colton did and followed my heart, as if I didn't.
Right.
But I'm getting all of that again. It's like digging it all up, things that happened 2 years ago. So the best way for me to combat it is, one, to not entertain it. Some things you just can't help but see. You know, you're not looking for it, it finds you. But my biggest advice is knowing who you are and knowing your worth and your value and not measuring it by other people's standards is the healthiest way to combat it. Don't play into it. I used to clap back at people. Don't do that either. That's a rabbit hole.
It's a waste of time.
Right, yeah.
You can't
just
win.
won't do anything for you. So just stay strong in who you are and don't let other people's opinions define you. And that's how I combat it.
I love it. I love it so much. And I'm just going to shout out quickly all of our members. Lord Pumpkin, Lindy Corn, Ann Kay, Watching and Making with Wolf Girl, Shauna Battle, Ethan, Vicky, Likey Licks, Chula Mami, Bruna Daniels, the Co-op 2, Kaylee Beloka, Nija Muma Muma, Leah 3, Tony Hoffensets, Franklin McLeod, Jessica Kent, Kelly Faith, Porcelain Moon, Manvi Bot, Preston, Alexander Rossi, Night Runner, Tyler Plays, and Maria Underwood. Woo, we have a lot of them.
Whoa. Hey, guys.
Now, I've got another question about sort of wedding personal stuff, and then we want to hear about your exciting kind of new career that you're pursuing. So what about kids? Are you planning?
I'm like ready. I have the worst baby fever. I see a child and I'm just like, give them to me. We'll babysit. I don't even know the kids.
I do that too.
It is so in me. I mean, I'm going to be 34 next month. I told Brian's 39 already. I said, Brian, the moment that we hoping, I think my parents would just die if it happens before. They're like Cassie's parents. They're so very traditional. They die. If if it happens the way that we would like for it to, I'm like going to want to start trying as soon as we get married.
You're like in the
on the
Caribbean.
honeymoon.
Yeah,
The
I
night
am
of.
like ready.
Yeah.
Right.
So you'll
So
be
ready
off
for
the birth
children.
control.
I'm already not on birth control.
Oh, so it could happen.
Yeah, that's why I
could.
say like
Yeah.
You're like, we're trying.
Yeah.
now I'm kind of scared to get on it just because I'm like older. So it's like I just am
know
like I don't want to start it again.
Yeah.
I haven't been on it in years, so I'm just like
Either.
I don't want to start now.
The hormones are just a lot for like some people's bodies. Like I just
That's
didn't,
why
like,
I stopped.
Me too. I just me
Yeah.
too.
But I mean, if you can be more careful than others. So you're going to stop being careful probably
Yeah.
like close
Yeah.
to the wedding.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like ready. I'm so ready for
Yeah.
kids, you guys.
Oh, well,
Plus, you're going to want to be able to drink at the wedding. Like that's what I always think of.
I didn't even think about that.
I do always think about that. Like if you're
Sacrifices
yeah.
can be made.
You want to get drunk.
And then I do. I so do. But then, everyone would notice if I wasn't drinking
Exactly,
at the
that
wedding. You can't say, oh, I'm on a cleanse. On your wedding? No,
No.
you're
On
a
not.
cleanse.
Start
you're not.
trying
Right.
like
On a
2 weeks
cleanse.
before or something, and then you won't know. Or like a month before, you still won't know.
That's right.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not pregnant.
that's
I've
a
never
good
been
advice.
pregnant, but this is just my friend was on a Bachelorette with me last year, and she was pregnant, and she didn't know, and literally, girl drank a lot, and the baby's fine.
Yeah, they say, but it happens a lot. Like
Yes.
on the
Well,
unexpected
my first was a
pregnancies.
surprise, and I was on birth control, and he was still a surprise.
Whoa.
And yes, we were drinking. Like we went out for drinks and dinners and stuff because I had no idea.
No,
You know,
it
they
happens.
used to in the old days.
The old
think you
days,
can
thanks.
drink.
Thanks a lot.
I'm talking about back in like the 1400s when like they'd give whiskey to the people having babies so they
Yeah, I
wouldn't
know, but
hurt.
They also had a lot of children that were born in the 1400s that had issues. but anyway,
Anyway.
my oldest, he's fine. So,
talking about you. Oh,
but still,
gonna get
you know.
fired.
So, well, I'm glad to hear that you're planning to have kids, and we'll be starting very shortly.
And
Now
then-
the question is, am I going to like have them all over Instagram like other people do? I don't know if I'm going to do that.
Yeah, I feel like you wouldn't.
Will you introduce
'cause I know
the
you
baby
so well.
on Instagram?
Probably. I think it's hard. It's like a tough line because I don't want to exploit my children, but people are also so invested in your relationship and your wedding because you found it all in front of everyone. So it's a fine line. I have to do something, but I won't go to the extreme that other people are going.
You mean creating an Instagram for your baby when it's still in the womb?
And that baby has a lot of followers.
Yeah, and I don't know why because nobody likes them. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I think people are like coming around since
Yeah,
they
they
actually
are,
they,
they
they,
are.
they seem really cute and perfect for each
They
other.
do.
Well, you can also introduce your baby on HollywoodLife.
Yeah,
we would
I
love
could do
to.
that,
Yeah, we would
On the
love to
podcast.
have the first photos of your baby.
You don't have to do it. We can.
Yeah. And we will be, and there's no comments on HollywoodLife.
Oh,
Yeah.
So it's a safe place.
you're reeling me in.
It's
Yeah.
a safe place to introduce your baby. You can't be bullied.
But before you have a baby, you have your ESPN radio show, which we definitely want to talk
Yes.
about very quick.
My new baby.
Your new baby, your firstborn.
Yes. So I think a lot of people, I was billed as an attorney.
Yes.
But you don't know the path I got to become an attorney. So I was a sports management major at the University of Texas. Then I went to Marquette Law strictly for sports law. And then any lawyer will tell you whatever you do in school, like you end up doing something completely different. But I always have had this love and passion for sports. And another thing people assume is that because I was with ABC, that ESPN is a natural progression. Not true. I did go to ESPN right after the show, and they were like, "We like you, but our sports audience doesn't know who you are and doesn't relate to you."
They don't watch The Bachelorette.
Yeah, like they're into sports.
Yeah, they're like, "You don't relate." So no, and like Jordan Rogers did that, JoJo's fiance, but he played football. His brother's Aaron Rodgers. There's a difference. He's a male. There's a difference. With females, you need a little bit more credibility. So I thought, okay. That was a door that was closed. I went to another network, door closed. So I thought, okay, I'll just start doing this on my own. And so I just started making my own reel. I did work for Facebook, Stadium through sports. I tapped into the entertainment side. I would appear, guest host, do things for free, fly myself out there until somebody noticed me at ESPN, gave me a chance on the biggest stage on TV. And from then on, I got a contract with them. And so I've been doing radio, which I had a football show this football season. And now I do a sports radio show or sports talk show. And it's called GTL. It's 12 to 4 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio, the app, and Sirius XM Channel 80. And I'm with 2 other guys. We have so much fun doing it. You should definitely tune in.
I bet you do.
Yeah, everybody tune in to Sirius XM Channel 80 or on the app 12 to 4 to listen to Rachel. And you also are do live Twitter shows, don't you?
Yes, thank you. I do. So basketball right now is what I'm starting with. So college basketball, we've got the March Madness tournament coming up. We're doing a live Twitter show on the 21st. It'll be from 12 p.m. to 1 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
Eastern. I won't be on the whole time, but it's such a fun show. The guys that are so great that are doing it, and it's just fun to like fill out your brackets, even if you're not into basketball. And then I'll do NBA shows as well, hoping to do it again for the playoffs. And we do a pregame show where we preview the 2 teams and talk about some of the surrounding stories around those teams, and then just what's going on in the league.
Well, I say ESPN needs you.
Thank you.
They really do. They need more women for sure.
They need more women, and also women who can. I'm not saying dumb it down for like other girls, but like who can explain it in terms that girls will understand and relate to.
No,
honestly,
I love that you say that because something that I am working on. Well, okay,
yes, go for it. Tell us.
I am working on, and the only thing is because I haven't trademarked the name of it yet. But I want to do something on social media where I am helping, and not just. I started off wanting it to be women, but I'm like, why does it have to be gender specific? There are a lot of guys that don't watch sports, but sports has helped me so much get invited to like the all boys lunch, or even if when I was dating, be on a date and be conversational. When it comes to sports. So I want to create something that's a quick rundown of what's happening this week in sports, just so like, and I want to dish it out first thing Monday morning. So if you're grabbing your coffee at work, if you're going on like some type of online dating app, you just want to like have pillow talk with your husband, or you're just like at a watch party and you have no idea what to say. I just want to give you little nuggets that help you fake it till you make it. And you're able to talk sports.
Like
and
the
where will
skin
this
kinda.
run? Where will this
love
run?
That. I love that idea so much.
I actually pitched that idea to them, and they're like, "Oh, our audience isn't into sports."
I will do this with you. I love it.
Where will this run, this idea?
So right now, I think I'm just going to do it for fun on my social media. It's super informal, and we'll see if it gets picked up and if it's something else, because you're right. It's not saying dumb down. It's just like, I'm just going to help you fake it. Like, oh my God, I cannot believe, Kyler Murray's throwing today or whatever.
And then you might understand it and might be interested in it. And, you're telling them just what they need to know. That doesn't mean that they have to... I don't know. I just know that I used to sit and watch with my parents who are huge sports fans, and I would ask them questions and they would give me a great breakdown of it. And because they're coaches themselves, so they could talk like that and explain it to me. But my friends don't, get it or know that stuff, and they want to.
Well, Rachel, it's been so great to have you here, and have fun wedding dress shopping, because that's your next mission. Have even more fun baby making.
I will.
Be sure to let us know when you have news. And we really wish you well on the wedding and on moving to Miami. And it's all very exciting. So we want to keep in touch with everything. And everyone, don't forget to listen to her Sirius XM show.
Thank you so much for having me, you guys. It's been fun.
Okay,
so
really fun.
Next time you and Bryan can come in together post-wedding.
You
can do a little recap.
We'll come back.
Okay,
Amazing.
good. Okay, that's got to be a promise.
Oh, I promise. I
Pinky
keep
swear.
my word.
She does.
Okay,
I'm
good.
sure.
Okay.
I'm like she does, because I met her an hour ago and we're literally best friends.
Okay, everybody. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank
and
you.
good luck. Rachel Lindsay, Bachelorette, and she's going to be bride soon. Bye-bye.